pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call.
Roll call. William.
Here.
Quaker. Here. Evan.
Here.
Nikki.
Here.
Nelson.
Here.
Next, we have the adoption of the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Motion's been made and supported. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Do we have minutes to approve?
No, I just.
No special order. Public comments. Oh. Hello? Turn it on. Hello? There you go.
Okay, it looks like Tracy's going to go through the formalities of things, of the process, how it's going to go. I'm not aware of it, so I just have some concerns that I'm going to put on the table. And they're discussed what Tracy is going to present, so be it. If not, then maybe we can look at what was brought to you today. So, with that said, member of the Township Board who is recorded as president shall vote on all questions decided by the board. That means every member that's here today on the board, by law, they're required to take a vote. When serving on the Township Board, there are restrictions on the times when a person can choose to abstain. That means not to vote. And the reason would be to abstain would be a conflict of interest. A Charter Township Board member may also abstain from voting on an appointment to fill the vacancy for which he or she wishes to be considered. So the law states that any board member that's interested to fill a vacancy can vote for themselves. And also, it states that that board member can abstain from voting if there is conflict of interest, which it goes in detail specifying a vacancy on the board. Now, it's important that one candidate doesn't hear the answer of another candidate during an interview or assessment process, because it can lead to unfair influence of their response, potentially causing them to alter their answer to line with what they have heard, rather than providing their own genuine perspective and ideas, thus compromising the evaluation of their individual strengths and suitability for the role. So any board member that would be part of the interview process should be questioned first. If there are two members on the board that are part of the interview, one should step out while the first member on the board interviews. And lastly, the questions that are going to be asked, or the format that's going to be laid out for us. Also, another concern would be are those questions in the package of any board member that is considering that position. Lastly, the only other concern that I have, which was resolved last night at the school board meeting, was to ensure that every member was on the board, resides in Bridgeport. And I did get my answer last night, so I believe this process is going to go forward in a fair and honest energy. I welcome everything that's going to unfold here today because we're making history here and we're doing something that I've never seen and I'm going to be part of. And I thank all the candidates that are stepping forward because you guys have the courage to come up here and do this. And this is awesome. Thank you much.
Thank you. Is there any other public comments? Any other public comment?
Jill Arndt. Hello, everyone. I have some details that I'd like to express, but I don't want to hinder on everyone wanting to really promote themselves for a position that they're very qualified for. We know that there are statewide people that have been selected in a general public election that have not had training. So I think that that should be off the table in consideration because our own county clerk was not a clerk before she was elected. So I really think you ought not consider the training. My details are about basically there was training before there was an approval of that person being in that position. As far back as what Lee Carpenter says, 4 years. He says that Roberta was trained in all the things that she needs to do as clerk. She was involved in every election. I'm majorly concerned because Roberta was on the primary election in August and also the November general election. And so why was she involved with the election materials, including the ballot? That has a big concern for me. Roberta said that she was training because she wanted to run against Augie until there were 3 other candidates. To run for supervisor, you didn't have to be in depth with that type of training at the clerk level. So I don't think that that has a basis. I hope that the board really, really puts aside the emotional opinion that Roberta had, that she felt as though she used the word dishonesty. Nowhere in that meeting was there any innuendo, any impression giving. Everybody was totally the opposite about this is not about Roberta, this is about the selection process. So we're trusting the board. You're not going to put a person's feelings and the impression that they got. Nowhere was this stated against the person, it was about the process. I do want to say that based on Roberta's withdrawal at the last meeting, I hope that the board abides by that because there was a given deadline and she withdrew. So I hope that that's being followed. I don't know the exact official information on that. My intuition, and that's all it is if Roberta's part of this candidate pool, I would have concerns on what that represents. I think that's basically it because again, I don't want to smoke over anybody's possibility of having an outstanding interview out here, and I am pleased that there's this much interest. The concern that I have is when he ran in the timeline for which he ran, where he could have not run, and within a month he resigned from that position, it would have given this type of energy and more to the people in the citizen group that could have run in those primary and general elections. I think that the falsehood representation of who is kind of, wiggling around with what that position, the outcome of that position, if that is Roberta, I really think that it was unfairly done as far back as before the election happened. So I appreciate the time. I wish all the candidates luck. I do know for a fact there would be more candidate interest if this would have been done a different way prior to when the election happened, so that there would be a full vote, full candidate, and everyone would be able to have their interest expressed via vote. Thank you.
Thank you. We did speak to the attorney on the resignation, and since the board took no action on the resignation, it was just discussion. So there was no motion, there was no vote. So by legal counsel, it's their opinion that now that she would like to be interviewed, that we interview her, because we took no action and it's not in the minutes. So that was thought about and that was addressed.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comments?
I just want to make a quick comment according to what Jill had stated there. I'm sure you're pardon, by the way. She said she didn't think training should be taken into consideration, and I disagree with that because I know that you all want the most qualified person for the position, the person that's going to help you the most, help the township the most. And if that takes into considered training, let's just kick the word training out and say the most qualified person, and I'm sure you guys will pick the most qualified person. But I just wanted that stated that I kind of don't agree with what you said about the training for that purpose.
Okay.
Thank you.
So much.
Understood, Chair.
Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Any other public comments? Public comments is closed. Presentation, unfinished business. Township Clerk.
Start the process, I'd like to make a motion to ratify the process used to fill the vacant township clerk position. This process included posting the vacancy on the township's website and sending notice to the township's email list. The notice stated that the position would be temporarily filled until the results of the 2026 November election are certified and the winner is sworn in as the township clerk. The township used the same application form as for the appointments to boards and commissions, and interested individuals were instructed to submit their applications by December 31st, 2024. In response, the township received 7 applications, and the township board has agreed to interview all 7 candidates. The township supervisor has called a special meeting for the board to conduct these interviews and potentially appoint a new township clerk within the 45-day time frame required by law. That's my motion.
Support.
Motion's been made and is supported to accept Pat's motion. Is there any discussion on this? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. This is a process that's kind of new to us, so we're going to, do you want to explain how the process is going to go?
Okay, so we do have only 5 candidates left. One withdrew and one mentioned that she might not be able to make it. So how we're going to do this is we'll have Roberta go first, since she is on the board, so she can't hear any of the other questions being asked, and we'll have everyone else draw numbers in order for we'll all be asked the same questions, and we'll take, have you meet, outside the room so nobody can hear what's going on. And then I'll make the decision after that.
Is everybody
Any
clear?
questions?
Any questions about that?
Question there can be asked, have they been reserved, not presented any board membership?
That's correct.
The questions were just presented to not accept. Roberta did not receive the questions. That's what you're getting at.
Can And we didn't get them until we got to our spot tonight, but we did not get them ahead of time.
So, I'm gonna read a little opening statement, and then, you guys will, head back, and then, you told them it'll be at random, right?
Yes.
Becoming the clerk of Bridgeport Charter Township will be no small task. You'll have to not only know and have strong understanding of how our township operates, but also needed are the exceptional organizational skills and the ability to communicate effectively with residents, local and county officials, and staff members. You will have to follow the often complex local, county, state, and federal laws, especially as they relate to your statutory duties and especially to elections. You will need to have a strong commitment of your time. This encompasses not only the many board and committee meetings, which can both be in the evening and the daytime, but the days and hours needed going into and up to for elections in an election year. So, just so everybody's aware of that, it's what we're looking for. So with that said, I think we will take the candidates out, and we will start with Roberta.
And then we have to take Susan Ford, Eddie Fox, Roger, Rosales, and Melissa Schmucker.
I'm out, Roger. You can book time out.
All right, Roberta. Tell us about yourself and your accomplishments.
Oh, myself. Well, I've lived in Bridgeport all my life. Me and my husband have ran our own business for 35 years here in Bridgeport. I've raised 3 kids here. Oh my goodness. I've run the scouting program in Bridgeport for 30 years. I have 2 equals in a life. Not much more.
What appeals to you the most and the least about this position?
The least is the elections. This position is a dangerous position. One of the courses that I took was on how it's not uncommon for the clerk to be threatened or their family, and how to look for that kind of stuff. So that's the least thing. And the most, I think it's just the communication with everybody.
What experience do you have from the past or with current employment that pertains to what we are looking for in this position?
Well, I ran an office for 35 years by myself. I think I could keep it organized.
Have you had experience managing staff?
Managing staff, well, let me see. There's my husband and my son. Not really.
How would you handle a situation where you had to implement new procedures or regulations within Bridgeport Township?
Well, that would depend on what the procedures were. I don't know how you handle it. If you don't, I don't know what, it depends on what it is. First off, I guess we'd make sure that we're doing it legal.
How would you ensure compliance with Freedom of Information Act as a township clerk?
Well, we'd make sure we got all of our postings out on time. That's one of the clerk's jobs, is making sure all the meetings are posted.
But when in regards to freedom of information?
I've never had to deal with that, but I believe there's a form you have to fill out to get that, but it's all public knowledge.
What methods would you use to stay informed about the changes in election laws and regulations?
Just continue to take the training. That's one of the reasons why I took all the training I did, because I've been a trustee, and I believe that you should get the training to do the best you can to do your job. And if I need training to do that, well, that's what I do.
Why do you feel you're the ideal candidate for the township clerk's position?
Well, I'm not going into it totally blind, and I think some people might be. It's a lot of work. And I think I got the time, so.
That's all the questions we have.
All right, thank you. Want to go get somebody?
Tracy said she'll do it.
Good job, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Tell us about yourself and your accomplishments.
Okay. So I'm going to talk about myself and my accomplishments. So you want to know something about me, not the task at hand, the clerk. You want to know something personally about me. Is that what I'm understanding?
Whatever you feel that we should know about Roger Rosales in the Cliff Notes version.
In the what?
Shortened version. You know, whatever you feel that the board should know about Roger Rosales.
Well, without getting into the roles and responsibility of the clerk, I'll just give you a quick biography of Roger Rosales pertaining to Bridgeport Township. Roger Rosales moved to Bridgeport Township in 1994. He raised his family in Bridgeport Township. As time went on in Bridgeport, I lost a wife, I lost a son and a daughter, and then I had 3 other kids to raise. They've all left. I was employed at General Motors. I retired from General Motors. I stayed in Bridgeport. I got all my vested interests in Bridgeport. I got involved with the township about 3.5 years ago because I got retired. I do own a business, archery service, which I've been operating for over 20 years. I did work for the township for 6 years, holding the contract. I've done various work for the township outside brush contract. And those are a little bit about Roger Rosales as he sits before you, related to Bridgeport Township, my investments, invested interests here, where I've raised my family, and how I've stuck around here in Bridgeport. I'm here today. So those are personal aspects of Roger Rosales.
Okay, Roger, what appeals to you the most and the least about this position?
Okay, now, this position, the 3 main responsibilities of this position is record keeping, the financial operations, and elections. Now, the law mandates how those roles and responsibilities are going to be carried out. Okay. As it does for Treasury, as it does for Supervisor. We have very little discretion of how we want to do things other than what's mandated by law. And the task at hand that are regulated will be performing that task. Now, outside of that, there's another role that's very important with this position as it is for supervisor and treasurer, and that is a voice and a vote on that board. Now, a voice and a vote on that board means that you assist in the direction of this township. And you're heard. And you get to take a position by your vote. And on this board, we need to challenge each other. We need to question each other. We need to listen to each other. And we have to remember that we answer to the public, even though we're the highest authority in the township. So, in essence, what's very appealing to me about this is that I would have the influence in being part of making a change in a direction for the township that is needed in these troubling times with our budget, with our economic growth. We got people that are homeless in Bridgeport. We got people that are drug addicts in Bridgeport. We've got spending that needs not to be done. And this is up and beyond the clerk's roles and responsibilities. So being on that board is going to have a direct impact in getting things moving with the voice and vote. So that would be one of the most appealing things up and beyond the roles and responsibilities of the clerk. The least thing that is not appealing is the same thing that applies to all of us. See, we have to give up our time. That's the most important factor of life is our time. That means we've got to sacrifice our time, which is giving up our lives. So if we're going to give up our lives to be part of something, then let's make something happen. Because we could all be doing other things. But we give up our time to sacrifice in the hopes that we were part of something that we can take with us in life and say, you know what, I made a difference. Okay, so that's the least appealing thing because we're going to give up our lives for it. Everything else about this job is formalities and protocol based by law. It's statutory.
Okay. I think, based on how you opened question 2, could you give us a shortened version of what do you think your role would be as township clerk? I think you kind of laid that in the start of that.
Well, township clerk is responsible for the financial operations, record keeping, and elections. Now, the elections are being changed every year. Upgrades are being done of how it's processed. And the Bureau of Election Director is assigned by the Secretary of State to provide training for the clerks.
I think we're going to address that question.
Okay.
What experience do you have from past or current employment that pertains to what we are looking for in this position?
Well, let me say this here. Now, the clerk, which is part of the administrative branch here in Bridgeport, requires discipline, being responsible, and adhering to what needs to be done. So one of the things about the clerk up and beyond the statutory laws. If in fact I'm selected or anybody's selected, we have to be bonded. And the reason we have to be bonded is so if we fail to do the job that is outlined statutorily, then that bond would protect the township from any financial liabilities, okay? And the bond is also dependent on the credit history. And it's easier to get a bond if you have good credit. Now I have an 815 credit rating, which shows that I'm financially responsible. And it shows discipline, and it shows that I handle things in an orderly fashion and organized. So with those factors, along with me running the business, understanding overhead and costs, responsibility to employees, and the other animal and beast that comes with running the business, and the township is no different as a business. It assesses, it collects taxes, and it holds elections. It's a business. So it's just a business in a bigger scale.
Have you had experience managing staff?
Well, staff are people. People are people wherever you go. They're no different in any different setting. They all have needs, they have wants, they have issues at home, at work. And they're there to get a paycheck to pay for their mortgages, their cars, and everything else. And yes, we'd like to get along with people, okay? But along with the issues of life and the stress of the job, relationships, and all that other thing, there's one thing at hand we need to focus on, and that's the task at hand. That's the job. And what is the job? Well, here in Bridgeport Township, the job is performing your roles and responsibilities in that position. And then what are you going to contribute beyond the position which puts you on the board to continue to move the township in the direction of the change that's needed in Bridgeport? So, yes, I have dealt with people. I was in the military. I did work at General Motors for 25 years. I run a business for 25 years. And when you run a business, you go through a lot of people. And they don't show up for work. They do show up for work. They're lazy, they're strong, some are good workers, all this stuff. And being involved with the township here and going to different board meetings and whatnot, everybody has a different view and a different direction they want to go. Okay, I get it. And we got to respect each other and listen to each other. But common sense and our instincts are going to tell us what direction we need to go. We cannot be bullheaded. Because not only are we dealing with livelihoods here, we're dealing with Bridgeport surviving for the future and not being taken over by the state.
Mr. Supervisor.
Yes.
Roger, could you be a little more specific in terms of managing people?
Okay.
You know, you said you worked at General Motors for so many years. What did you do at General Motors? Were you a supervisor, or what exactly did you do? And how did you supervise people at GM?
Okay. At General Motors, I was unskilled trades. I was a millwright. Now, I had to work along with other skilled tradesmen to determine the task at hand, follow the instructions that were given to us, and get the job done. Now, before I became a tradesman, I was in the labor workforce. In the labor workforce, you have to work as a team. And we rotate jobs, and you can't leave the other person in a position where you didn't do your job, and then they pick it up. And as far as managing, we all manage on a day-to-day basis everything we do, from what we're going to eat to where we're going to go. And when you have a lot of equipment, you have to manage when the maintenance is going to be done. When something breaks, do you have a backup? How are you going to get the job done? Manage the people that are there. Are you going to pay them? Are you going to send them home? Do you put them on another job? Do you go to another job? What equipment do you have to go get, don't get? So it's a constant struggle managing from every situation that arises to managing to what you're instructed to do, and then how you do it. If you don't do it, then what do you got to do to make it right? So managing can be applied in a broad aspect of scenarios, but be specific about managing people as a supervisor. Well, when you're owning a business, you are the supervisor. If that answers your question, Calvin.
Okay, fine, thank you.
Well,
How would you handle a situation where you had to implement new procedures or regulations within Bridgeport Township?
well, if there are new procedures and regulations, that means they become statutory. That's the law of the land. So you have to follow them, okay? If you don't like them, that's not an option for you not to like them. It's your job to follow through on what's directed for you to do. So new processes and procedures are just like life itself. Change, it's constant. If there is a new process and procedures, then we ain't moving in the direction we need to go. So there has to be new processes and procedures, and I welcome them. We'll embrace them and then grow with them and expand on them. You just don't sit on that level unless it's a statutory law. But if we're doing it in a broad aspect of where we're experimenting on things, then that'd be a different animal.
How would you ensure compliance with the Freedom of Information Act as the Township Clerk?
Well, currently Tracy's the FOIA coordinator. Now, the law states that the clerk handles the FOIA unless it's delegated to other individuals that would be responsible to it. So if the policy and procedure doesn't change, Tracy will be handling this, but in the same token, if I am going to handle it, it's regulated and directed on how you handle it. Freedom of information is information that is given to the public, and there's guidelines of what information they are able to obtain and not to. So it's not an option for me to say you're not going to get it unless I review the guidelines that state that it is available for the public based on the guidelines that allow me to do so.
What methods would you use to stay informed about the changes in election laws and regulations?
Well, election laws and regulations are directed from the director that is appointed by the Secretary of State and mandates that the clerk be trained. And they provide and pay further training. And it is channeled down to the county clerk. The county clerk makes sure it's done. You don't have an option but to go get trained. So in other words, if you were trained yesterday and the election was yesterday, and we got an election 2 weeks from now or next year, if something changes, the Bureau of Elections is going to inform the county clerk and move it down to the channel that we get trained in the new process and new changes so we're aware of it. So it's not that, well, gee, I need the experience of the training. the state gives you the training and experience, you have no option but to get it. And then once you get it, it gets certified, then you can hold the election. And any changes that happen throughout the course will be channeled to you through the powers to be that are above you and directed for you to get trained in that area. There is no such thing as, well, gee, I didn't know that, but gee, they didn't train me. The state of Michigan is going to make sure that you need to be trained because it's a new change, and if they don't have you trained in that area, then they feel their responsibility. That ain't gonna happen. So that's not an issue about if I'm trained or not, or how would I get trained. It's mandated by the state to be trained by them.
Okay, why are you the ideal candidate for the township clerk position?
Well, I'm not going to say I'm the ideal candidate. What I'm going to say is, as I did in public comment, I'm grateful that we have individuals that are interested and have the courage to step forward, to sacrifice their time, to make a change. Not that they can do the job or can't do the job. Hell, they wouldn't be applying if they didn't believe they could do the job. And the training will be there by the state. So I'm not going to say I'm better than anyone. What I'm going to say is I'm very grateful that individuals stepped up to be interviewed. And I hope that the board selects what's the best interest of the township and appreciate these individuals that came up forward, because there was a time we couldn't get anybody to apply for any position. As a matter of fact, when certain individuals got appointed on the board, they got appointed because they were the only application in the system to be appointed. So these changes that are happening in our school board and changing here in the township doesn't make me better than anybody. It just makes me be part of the change that's happening. And I hope that the board continues to strive on the change and not say, well, this person was better, that person was better. They believed it was the best interest of the township because we're all the same.
That's all we have.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. Good evening. Tell us about yourself and your accomplishments.
I'm Melissa Shepherd. I've been an intern now for about 10 years. I have 4 kids. I am currently...
Excuse me, could you talk in the mic and speak up?
I sure can. My name is Melissa Shepherd. I have 4 kids. I've been in Bridgeport for almost 10 years now, going on 11 years now. I'm on the Bridgeport Fire Department at the moment. Yeah.
What appeals to you the most and the least about this position?
The most is being part of something that can make a difference for this community. The least, hand in hand with the same thing. There's always downfalls to systems, so just that part of it.
What do you think your role would be as the township clerk?
Honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about it. I just know that I am a hard worker. I learn easy and very well organized, and I can take care of business when needed.
What experience do you have from the past or current employment that pertains to what we are looking for in this position?
Other than I have been a part of my dad's company for years, helping him run it and things of that nature, and doing all the legalities of that, that's about all I have.
Have you had experience managing staff?
I have. I was the manager of a Bath and Body Works for a while.
How would you handle a situation where you had to implement new procedures or regulations within Bridgeport Township?
That would be something I'd have to be taught. I do not know.
How would you ensure compliance with the Freedom of Information Act as the township clerk?
Again, something I'd have to be taught. I'm not 100% sure on that.
What methods would you use to stay informed about changes in election laws and regulations?
I would obviously talk to the officials that we have and the legislation and whoever I need to talk to over that to get it all figured out and follow it to their protocol.
Why are you the ideal candidate for the township clerk position?
I am new. I am easily trainable and can bring new ideas to the table as well. I believe I'd be good at it. Just like I said, like a new face, a new perspective, new eyes on everything. So.
All right, that's all we have. Thank you.
You know.
Howdy.
Hello, good evening.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you doing this evening? Tell us about yourself and your accomplishments.
Jim Secord, I'm pretty sure most of you know me. I worked in Bridgeport down at Go Mine Service. I was a mechanic there for 24 years. Got to know a lot of the residents there. Since then, I went to work for Jake Kessler over in Spalding Township. I've been there 14 years. Lived in Bridgeport. My mom and dad live on Gable, so I moved there when I was 10. And I married my wife 37 years ago, I think. And she'd have to tell you for sure. We lived on Riverview ever since then. Was a township trustee for 3 years and was the treasurer for 9.5 years. Tried to involve myself with everything that I could to try and help the township. I guess my biggest goal ever was that I really tried to help the working class guy.
What appeals to you the most and the least about this position?
The most is I had a goal to work until I was about 60, giving something to the township. The least is the amount of your actual time that you have to put in here to do the job correctly. It's not just on the surface. It's something you really gotta want to do for the right reason, or you shouldn't be here.
What do you think your role would be as the township clerk?
I don't really understand. I'd be the township clerk.
What do you think you would?
I don't understand the question. I'm sorry.
What do you think you would do here as the township clerk? What do you think your duties and responsibilities would be?
You've got to take care of the minutes before each one of the meetings. You have your elections. You have your legalities. There would be, to be honest with you, there'd be an awful lot I would have to learn. I don't know much about it, but I'm a fairly avid learner. I think I could catch on pretty quick. I don't know how to answer that question on that.
Okay. What experience do you have from past or current employment that pertains to what we are looking for in this position?
You said tonight that what this position needed was somebody that cared about the township residents and that went out of their way to help the residents, and they did everything they could for the residents, and that is exactly what I've done my whole life in Bridgeport, is try to help kids from when they were young and right through school, and I've tried my best to help the residents. Kind of the underdogs is who I've always tried to root for.
Have you had experience managing staff?
Yes, sir. I was in charge of Gold Mines for 24 years. I'm part owner of Kessler Equipment, and I'm the general manager there.
How would you handle a situation where you had to implement new procedures or regulations within Bridgeport Township?
The first thing I learned with Bridgeport versus my own working career is that you have a union to deal with. And so the first thing I would do would be question what my legal rights could be done. Because the way I handle things at work now, you can't do with the union.
How would you ensure compliance with the Freedom of Information Act as township clerk?
We had a big deal with a guy that had a trailer put on his lot with the Freedom of Information Act, and he rammed it right straight down our throats. And I think he kind of used it in the wrong purpose at the time. And I would say that you need to study that for each application before you actually implement something and throw that out there that's your defense is that Freedom of Information Act, because I think a lot of people use it when other people don't really understand what it's for, and I think they kind of scare you with the tactics.
What methods would you use to stay informed about changes in election laws and regulations?
I would rely on my personnel. That's my largest downfall, is I am not literally, I'm not real good with computers. I'm starting to learn, and I would rely on what I could hard copy read. I get emails and things like that, but I gotta be honest with you, you guys know me. I don't do very good with computers.
Why do you feel that you are the ideal candidate for the township clerk's position?
Because I care.
That's all we have.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you.
Do I gotta go out and send the stool?
No, you can sit down.
That's up to Tracy, when she wants to go back and.
You guys ain't back there filling Walt Tracy's stuff, are you?
You got your own Shears bar back there?
Yes,
huh?
ma'am.
Yeah.
There's always.
Good evening.
Good afternoon, how's everybody?
Good, how are you?
Okay.
Tell us about yourself and your accomplishments.
Okay. Okay, my name is Eddie Fox. I've been living here in Bridgeport for about 45 years or more. When I moved down here to Bridgeport, first thing I did was got involved with my neighborhood association, Southfield Village. And I wasn't an officer, but after that, we saw that there was a need with Southfield Village to get involved and know what's going on in the township. So I began to attend town planning commission meetings back in the day. And went to planning commission meetings, and eventually I became a planning commissioner, and also was the chair of the planning commission for several years. After being part of the planning commission, I moved on to become a township trustee. I was a trustee for one term here in Bridgeport, so I could see what's going on actually and how decisions are made here in Bridgeport as a township trustee. After being a township trustee, I ran for county commissioner. I was Saginaw County, and I was elected Saginaw County commissioner for 3 terms. I was a county commissioner. So those are my elected official duties, and also I still serve on some county committees, like and also stay busy working for the community and staying involved in what's happening with Bridgeport Township. I still think that I think it's very important for the township to have neighborhood organization, neighborhood groups, so they can see what's going on in each neighborhood. That's one of the reasons why I am. It's my second time being president of South Village Association, because as townships grow or as neighborhoods grow, so goes the township. So,
What appeals to you the most and the least about this position?
probably time. I'm sure that as you research and look at the requirements of a township clerk, it's not only does it require you to keep track of voter registration and voter issues, but there's a lot of other documents and so forth that is required for the township clerk to keep track of. And I hope that administratively there is support for that. Don't you have a deputy that works? But when you're talking about general ledgers and accounting procedures, I'm sure I hope the administration is involved in some of that activity so that those things are held or up to date and held in good standards. So that's what, and the point about serving for township clerk is the fact that you want someone in this position who is competent, and I'm sure that your candidates you interviewed tonight, you found that they were very competent and able to handle this position. But also, you want people who can go out and communicate with the public and be able to have a good understanding of what the public needs, and also listen to the needs of the community too. So that's my opinion of the clerk's office, and just the time commitment to work in it.
So the time commitment would be least appealing, is what you're saying?
Yeah, because functioning in the community, in the office would not be a big issue for me.
I feel like he's explained question 3, but what do you think your role would be as township clerk?
Well, I did some research. I know what the township clerk's responsibilities are and I'm sure that as we looked at MTA and those kind of things, it's what the township clerk does. But those are the functions, is to maintain the records maintain the records of the township. So I can go down through the statutory duties of the township clerk. I see what those are, and also there's probably some other duties that has been assigned to the clerk other than those statutory. So I don't know how those functions are managed, but when I look at maintaining ordinance books and so forth like that, I know you have a planning administrator or some of those people working here. I'm not sure how their records are being kept as it relates to how the township should keep, as a clerk should be involved in that type of activity. But it's as far and beyond elections. I see it also has to do with maintaining tax records or being able to make filings to the county and being able to do those kind of activities too.
What experience do you have from past or current employment that pertains to what we are looking for in this position?
I've had leadership positions in a lot of organizations I belong to. I retired from General Motors, Southern Division. I have a bachelor's degree and an MSA degree, and also as an engineer, I supervised projects, both in manufacturing and product development, which had major budgets, and so we had to keep track of and records to execute those projects. So being involved in administrative kind of activities, I've had those activities all my life. So all my working career, I should say. Mr. Supervisor, could you explain what an MSA is? You say you have a degree, an MSA degree. Could you explain a little more detail what that degree entails? Central Michigan University, Master of Science in Administration is what that is. So it's a degree to be an administrator in an organization. So you go through all those functions as to deal with planning, finance, and those kind of things. That was a part of the degree. So your competency was what? Public administration? Emphasis in public administration? It was a general administrative degree. It's a master's degree I got from Central, Master of Science Administration. So it was a general, not really a full concentration on any particular area.
You good?
Yes.
How would you handle a situation where you had to implement new procedures or regulations within Bridgeport Township?
Well, I would agree with you that there is a need for new regulations in Bridgeport Township. I think we have to get the buy-in of the public to do that. I would think that Bridgeport Township is not only a urban township, but we have an urban section and a rural section. And I think that we need to make sure our rules and regulations reflect that. Because in an urban area such as, how would I describe it? In Dixie Highway, well, the corridor from Genesee Gardens, Southwood Village, Wilson Acres, on the other side where Airport Road and so forth is almost more urban than some of the rural areas on the other end. I think that we need, we should implement items that would help with both, because like where I live, one of the things that really concerns me as I look at, well, current events, the fire in California. We have a big, used to be a horticultural or nursery right near our neighborhood, but the guys letting it grow up. I asked the township, okay, why don't you do something about these tall weeds? If that thing starts burning, as things get very dry and the fire get going really good, I think that some of our homes will be affected. So that sort of like an agricultural thing, when it's near a urban area like we have, needs to be controlled a lot more. But that's going to take the vision of the township board to say that, okay, we have a rural and a urban, and some of the conditions that's required is different, especially if you want to attract people to move into our township and also attract someone to come in and start developing maybe more residential. And also those kind of residential attractions would help us get more commercial, and hopefully we can attract some industrial developers, so that when those companies are here, that those employees will be willing to live in Bridgeport. Because one of the things that really affects me is that in this township or anyone else, where your tax dollars are used to buy services, that have people execute those services, and those tax dollars leave on payday. They don't live here, they move and go someplace else. And that not only municipal employees, but school employees. And that, I think that's really one thing that hurt Bridgeport, as to those tax dollars not being turned over by people living here and investing in the community which they live in.
Did you skip number 5?
I believe I did. I apologize. Have you had experience managing staff?
Yes, at work. I did. We had some engineers that worked for me. I was a senior engineer, but we had other engineers and other projects where items to be executed would be disseminated to other people to complete.
How would you ensure compliance with the Freedom of Information Act as Township Clerk?
How would I comply with freedom of information?
How would you ensure the compliance with the Freedom of Information Act as Township Clerk?
Well, I think that if it's not I think that the information should flow a lot more than what it is today. Okay, I think that when someone asks for information, if it's not a sensitive nature, affecting personnel or some of those lines, we should be able to share that. When I think about freedom of information, I can come here and come to the township board, and you are voting on the resolution, which as a public member don't know what the resolution is, and it's not explained to the public before you vote on it. You just say we're going to adopt the resolution so-and-so. We don't see it. I don't know whether those resolutions, which would be helpful, to be posted online so that we can see them ahead of time. So when we come in here for public comment, you know what issues you are trying to adopt here at the Township Board. But if information is not of a really sensitive nature that the public can see, I think that the information should be shared with the public.
So you're suggesting that we should share the motions before?
Say again?
You're suggesting that we should share the motions before?
No.
Or the information, what we're voting on?
When I said...
An explanation of what's on the agenda?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you look at the agenda, I don't have it. You look at the agenda where it says we're going to pass resolution such and such. You have those all the time, it's a motion number. What is that resolution? There's no content there about that resolution. One of the things I did...
Sorry, I got off track there. Maybe we could talk about that.
Well,
that interested me.
We'll talk about that later. But as a township official, what I did at that point was to make sure the public was informed of what is in the resolution. Was I would ask questions about an issue that was on the agenda to have discussion at the board so that the public could hear what this is all about, rather than just say resolution number X, Y, or Z, and someone make a motion to adopt, but the public out here don't even know what it's all about. That was the point I was making about resolutions.
Yeah, we'll chat on that, how we can make that happen. I'm interested in that. Why are you the ideal candidate for the town? Did I? We got a lot of information here. What methods would you use to stay informed about changes in election laws and regulations?
Well, you know that election laws anyone who is a citizen of the United States or a community or have lived in the community long enough, we hope they'd be ready to be eligible to vote, to follow the laws that's already in place. So they'll be eligible to register and vote. Okay, that'll be part of election laws. We'd also want to make sure that the elections are secure, that when someone shows up at a poll, that I know you have a registration book, and you make sure those persons are in the book and registered, they have a fair access to the ballot and to vote. I think that it's very crucial also that as laws change, you have to be aware of what those changes are and how they're being executed, such as registering on the day of the election. How does that vote apply if a person shows up at more than one voting place and try to do the same thing? I don't know how is it updated instantly into some database someplace? I'm not sure how that works. We'll have to be very careful of how that happens, or maybe those become provisional ballots at that time. I'm not sure at this point. But in order to know how the fair election laws work, I have to research and get informed and get updated on what those laws are.
Why are you the ideal candidate for the township clerk position?
Why am I an ideal candidate? Well, I'm sure that I could handle this job, but I'm sure you have other competent people who could do it too. I came here to interview because I wanted to serve our township. I've been living here a long time. I did not leave. My wife and I stayed here. We raised 3 children here, so that we stayed here. So we like Bridgeport. We stay here. We like to see our neighborhood stay nice, the way we like, the way it should be, and whatever I can do to support the township and the township board. That's why I applied for this position.
That's all we have. Thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules, opening up a second round of public comments to last no longer than 5 minutes, excluding candidates for this position. I want to hear what people on the floor have to think. If I can support that motion. I support it.
Motion's been made and supported. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anybody like to make public comment? You're open to a second round of public comment, right?
Excluding candidates.
Excluding the candidates. Anybody like to make public comment?
No. Okay. My opinion is we're very fortunate to have all good candidates.
You're here.
Yes.
Good luck.
Anybody else like to make a public comment, excluding the candidates? Anybody else?
Motion to adjourn public comments.
Support. Motion's been made and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries.
Point of order, Mr. Supervisor, would we as a board like to see us make a motion for each candidate in successive order to see if each person has the votes, or would you like one of us to make a motion for our preferred candidate and go from there?
I guess we could,
Is there no way there's no way we can really do a discussion?
Motion to discuss.
motion's been on the floor to discuss. Any support?
Support.
Motion's,
He was first.
so we're discussing the candidates?
Bruce mentioned discussion, I thought we should do it by the book.
Yeah.
Motion has been made and supported. All those in favor of having the discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're open for discussion.
Anybody have any comments? Any
discussion? Any preferences? Or do we not want to discuss preferences?
There was definitely a lot to listen to and a lot to think about, I think, with these interviews.
I guess what I'm getting at is I'd like to be able to gauge where the board may be leaning. Do we do that right here in an open forum, or do we take is this something that can be discussed in a closed session because it's personnel, or no?
I think it could be an open forum, and any of them say whatever they thought or what they liked, they didn't like. You say what you feel right here in the open.
Okay.
Calvin, you got any discussion on this?
Break the ice, Calvin.
The discussion to includes what? Recommendation for the position, or just what? Just a general open discussion? I mean, what?
General open discussion.
What is the direction for the discussion?
A general open discussion. Let's,
Well, I think probably, we probably from my perspective, at least probably 3 good candidates. And I won't name the candidates, but I think that they will bring some unique experience to the position, as well as I follow, the rules and regulations for the clerk position. I see those 3 candidates as ideal candidates, because I think they brought a whole lot in terms of their personal interests, as well as a basic overall knowledge of the position, as well as the statute, as well as the legal process, for the position.
Patty, you got anything?
Just, I agree with Calvin. I think there are 3 individuals that stood out, 2 in particular, were very detailed in their answers. Between them, they bring some great experience, different experience levels, education levels. So I'm grateful that everybody stepped up. This is very unique, and that's my perspective.
I'm in the same ballpark. I'm at 2, hands down.
It seems like we all feel that there's 3, maybe 2 particular strong candidates, and I need to think about how we do it procedurally. Maybe we need to collectively get rid of the 2 weakest, excuse my language, candidates, and then figure out how we proceed and vote it for the top 3. That's what I'm thinking. Put that up for discussion.
Are you asking them to leave? We just discuss,
He's basically saying it's in the herd, for lack of a better term.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that if each of us are thinking that there were 3 strong candidates, and we're saying that there are 2, and I don't want the 2 weakest candidates that we asked to leave. That's not what I'm saying. We can't do that. But if we can come to an agreement on who the 2 candidates that should move forward are, then we can discuss procedurally how we get down to the 1.
So do you feel the same as far as those?
There's 3 that I thought performed very well. If we have a separate notebook where we can take all of our names down, and each go around and say who are, however you want to do it, either our top 3 or the worst 2. And if there is agreement on that, we make a motion to get rid of those 2, then we're at 3. And we will keep eliminating moving forward. I'm trying to give some sort of order.
Yeah.
In my experience, sometimes there's a first choice, second choice, third choice, not just the names, but your choice in order of.
You think we should do it?
I don't think, I'm just saying what we've done. Other.
I was just gonna suggest we just write down our top, because the consensus is it's 2 or 3 people.
Okay.
Why don't we just all put down our top 3 and go there?
Why don't I just call out the names and vote if we want to keep them, yes or no? You gotta do it public, you can't do it by ballot.
I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
And
So, any more discussions, I'm gonna officially close it. I want us to.
We're getting a little, we're getting way.
we're getting out of whack here.
Any more discussion?
I think we've, no. I don't think there's- Did any more, do you have any discussion? Anyone? Calvin? Any more? Pat? Bruce?
No?
Motion to close discussion.
Or,
Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion on the? Hearing none, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'd like to make a motion that we all name our top 3 candidates. Is that what we agree on?
what if you don't have 3?
Well, then you just say 2.
Then you just say 2.
What if this was your top candidate? 2 or 3?
I have 3, and someone else has 3, so let's do top 3 candidate. And if you don't have a 3rd candidate, then just say blank. But that is my motion.
The motion is to name the top 2 or 3 candidates each.
Yes. Do you support? I'm sorry.
Yeah, motion's on the floor.
Or,
Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Brenda?
Roberta Plinkner, Eddie Fox, James Secord. Tracy, tell us when you say we're not rushing in.
Bruce?
me? I'm Eddie Fox and Roger.
What's that?
Any facts and who?
Roger Rosales. I'm gonna have to.
Point of order.
She is,
Legally can.
Yeah.
she can. She is allowed to vote. She does not
Yeah.
herself.
Roberta?
Well, of course, it's different.
And Jim Secord, and that's good.
Calvin?
I would like John McCain. Let me go with Eddie Fox, Jimmy Secord, of course, and did I say 2 or 3?
You can
3?
agree.
And Roger Gonzalez.
I had Eddie, Roberta, and Jimmy.
I would go with Eddie, Roberta, and Roger.
Take your time, sweetheart.
Yeah, we mean that. Sometimes it's like a, you know.
So we had 4 for Jimmy, 4 for Roberta, 5 for Eddie, and 3 for Rob.
Who are the lowest two, so I can make a motion to eliminate them?
There's a tie. Roger has 3, Jimmy and Roberta both have 4.
Do you have an understanding? I'm texting, so do you have a clear understanding of what she just said? Can you say it one more time, please?
5 Eddie.
5 for Eddie, 4 for Jimmy, 4 for Roberta, and 3 for Ron.
4 for Jimmy. 4 for Roberta. 3 for Roger.
So we have 4, so we're just going to have to eliminate one at a time. Is that, am I understanding that correct? Okay, I'd like to make a motion to eliminate the lowest vote getter.
Motion's on the floor. To eliminate the lowest vote getter.
Support?
Motion's been made and supported. All those, or any discussion?
No.
Any discussion on that?
My concern as a recording secretary is, are you eventually going to put a name to that lowest vote getter?
I think they just.
I'd like to amend my motion.
There should be an
We
identity.
eliminate Melissa from the running. So I support that amendment.
Yeah.
Did she get any votes? Did Melissa get any votes?
No.
That's automatically eliminated if she didn't get any votes.
You know, we don't want legals coming back afterward. So let's just wait for, so we make sure that we're doing it right. I don't want the lawyer coming back afterward saying we didn't do something right.
So he's just motioning that she's eliminated because she got no votes.
Okay, okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, he's
That's fine.
motioning that she's eliminated because she got no votes.
Okay.
And that's been supported. Any other discussion? Can we get a roll call vote on that?
Williams,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Kuznicki,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Plaker,
Yes.
Nelson.
Yes.
Point of order. Do you want to make a motion to choose our top 2 from the remaining 4 or top 3 from the remaining 4?
Let's go with the top 2.
I'd like to make a motion that we all go around and choose our top 2 from the remaining 4.
Motion's on the floor.
Or,
Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion on picking the top 2? Here, can we do a roll call on that too, Tracy?
Nelson,
yes.
Kuznicki,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Plaker,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
So let's pick our top 2. You ready, Tracy?
Yeah.
Point of order. Which direction did you go in the first time?
Oh, I didn't ask.
Do you remember what direction you went in the first time?
I think we asked for Roberta first and just went.
The first time you started.
Started down here.
Oh,
So we'll start down there.
This is a point of order. Should we do it the opposite way till we?
sure.
And,
Well, we could randomly ask.
hey,
Yeah.
just get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Roberta Blaker and Roger Rosales.
Yeah, Nelson,
Eddie Fox and Roberta Plager.
Randall, Adams,
Eddie Fox, Roberta Plaker.
Calvin,
Eddie, Jim, and Robert.
Well, we're only doing two.
Eddie and Jim. Jimmy.
Okay, Roberta,
Baker?
Flaker, and Secord.
Bruce, can you repeat?
Eddie and Roger.
So Eddie and Roberta are the top two.
I'd like to make a motion to discuss.
Motion's on the floor to discuss.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
I just wanted to give us the opportunity, I don't have anything to say, I think I know where I am, but just so we, once again, doing everything by the book, this is an opportunity for us, opportunity for us to say anything, and go down to Eddie and Roberta. No one has anything to say.
I think it was, who were the top two?
Eddie and Roberta.
Say, okay.
What are those numbers?
Yeah. How many for each?
Four for Eddie. Four for Roberta.
I have a question. When you gave your two, was it in the order of ranking for your first choice and second choice, or just your overall top two? Because that would matter in the count.
Just overall top two.
I gave my overall top two.
Everybody agreed on that? Okay.
Was not in any order for me.
Okay, because that mattered on the overall.
I think Eddie interviewed really well. I think he had a lot of very good and things to say. I think he could definitely do the job. As far as Roberta goes, I think she's worked with Tom, and she knows a lot of stuff that has happened in the current elections, this past election cycle. She's went through that with us. So I think to me it makes her a strong candidate.
My decision is based solely on the interviews. My two choices were, in my opinion, far and above the strongest two interviews and the strongest answers. Most well thought out answers. That's completely, I made notes as I went along on each application. That's where it's at. Just gotta let it fall that way.
I looked at Eddie because of his experience. He has served on the board, town board. He's been a county commissioner. He's currently involved at the county level on various committees. So he understands how county government works as well. And I really appreciated his thorough answers. And I'm fully confident that he could perform the duties without any issues. Like Chad said as well, Roberta does bring to the table some experience. And, the interview wasn't as strong as a couple other candidates. There's that piece that she's already been involved in some elections, and so that experience, I think, benefits her.
Yeah, the most recent election, which would have the most recent laws and rules.
But I don't know that's the only reason to choose somebody.
Right.
And that's what the citizens are going to say, is she had a privilege. I'll use that word.
Not all of them.
Roberta, Calvin, for giving me a second, you told us, Mr. Super.
Yes.
Roberta, Calvin, anything you would say before I close the discussion?
Yeah, I think out of all of the candidates, I think Eddie, really performed quite well. He's very specific very direct with the questions. He has quite a bit of external experience in working with the county. So I don't see that as being an obstacle. I see that being an advantage because if he has some knowledge in terms of county operation, he can easily work with our county clerk, you know, to come up to speed in terms of what he needs to know, what he needs to do in terms of Bridgeport elections and their rules and regulations. So I strongly support Eddie, you know, for this position.
Roberta?
And he did really interview well, but of course he's for himself.
Any further discussion? Motion to close discussion?
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Motion that we all say our top candidate and highest vote getter is clerk.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion's to say your top candidate. You want to do it at random, Tracy?
Go ahead.
Calvin? Top candidate.
Eddie Fox.
Bruce?
Eddie.
Pat?
Eddie Fox.
Randall?
Roberta Flaker.
I'm going to go with Roberta. Roberta?
I'm gonna go with myself and it takes this time.
Yes. Point of order, in the 1800s, we would have flipped a coin. I'm just playing.
All right. Yes, sir.
Will you stand at a time?
Yes.
Yep.
Let her be clerk and I'll take trustee.
He said let her be clerk and he'd take trustee.
We're only discussing the
The
clerk.
clerk.
Right?
We're only discussing the clerk position. We're not discussing trustee position.
Well, I just threw it out there for you.
No, well, you know.
Y'all not going in a closed session and talk about
Yeah,
it.
you're in the wrong forum to throw that out.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'm not certain.
Motion to discuss.
Motion's on the floor to discuss. Do we have any support to discuss this?
Oh, I'll support.
Motion's been made and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Hey.
You opposed?
Yeah.
Wait, you're opposed to discussing?
Yeah, we've had discussion.
Okay. Well, we're at a tie. So,
Yeah, Phil, I mean, he's the lone dissent, point of order, he's the lone dissenter.
yes. So we discussed.
Motion carries,
Yeah,
yeah.
motion's carried.
Is anyone willing to change their vote?
Right? Hearing nothing on that. Are you willing to change your vote?
Pretty probably on now. I'll die on that hill.
Hearing nothing. We're still at a stalemate. I like to be honest, I'm at a loss for what we do with
For me, it's clear based solely on the interview. That's
my whole decision based solely on the interview. If I'd have been behind that wall and just been listening and not known names, not known anything, it's solely based on the answers to those questions.
Let me say, I hope this is, once we had chosen a clerk, I was going to make a motion that we hold interviews for the vacant trustee position at the February regular meeting, allowing current applications to stand, while allowing additional applications to come in with a deadline of January 31st. So if we have a clerk tonight, that will be my following motion, and I'm going if that changes anyone's vote. I just wanted you to know. I was looking at you. I had a good eye.
Can't deliberate in closed session.
Let me ask a question, just for my understanding. If we voted for A. Fox as clerk, the board would stay as trustee and then fill.
Brad, could you speak into my,
I'm sorry, Kelvin. If Eddie Fox became clerk tonight, Roberta would stay as trustee, and so there would be no need for that spiel I just said.
Correct.
Still, I changed my vote, I just wanted to ask.
is your mic on?
Mine?
They don't let the young buck talk around here, man.
Well, the board's at stalemate. Will you open up the motion for the public to contribute their thoughts to the discussion process?
No, I'll start talking.
You had a motion for the public previously. It's the same thing now that I'm not a candidate. I'm open to the public.
It is. Laryngitis, boy. Word.
You have the volume.
I don't know if it's appropriate to allow the public.
Are we in discussion?
Yes.
Motion to close discussion?
Motion's been made to close discussion.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Sorry.
Oh, do you want to
No,
discuss?
it's preempting you, I'm sorry.
Hearing none. Discuss closed.
Motion to suspend rules, opening up a third round of public comments, not to exceed 5 minutes, excluding candidates.
That would be the two main candidates, correct? Because the other.
Yes, very good, Roger. Excluding remaining candidates.
Any possible way we can get a motion to get like a couple of minutes to use the restroom?
So, let this motion die, and then I will motion to give us a 5-minute break. So you call for a second, and nobody say anything.
Any second? Hearing none. Motion's dead.
Motion to take a 5-minute break so everyone can use the restroom.
Support. Motion been made and supported in discussion. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, we'll be back in 5.
No form in the bathroom.
No.
Get a hall monitor. I'll use Tracy's credit.
I'm sorry to, I'd like to make a motion to suspend rules, opening up a third round of public comments, not to exceed 5 minutes, excluding standing candidates.
Motion's on the floor. Any support?
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey.
All right. Public comments.
Okay. First of all, Roberta has every right to vote for herself. She's on the board elected by the people. Roberta has every right to abstain if she so chooses. None of us can take that right away from her. And I would probably do the same as she's doing now. There's no question that both have equal amount of votes, so whatever the reasons are, we stand fast on what we believe, whatever the qualifications or whatever else there is. So there must be something else that would tip the scale here, other than the interview. The interview was done. We made up our decisions. So if we had to look at it in a different aspect other than the interview, we have to look at the big picture of the township and the needs of the township and where we're at today. And I believe the momentum in Bridgeport Township of what's unfolded at the school board, to whereas the superintendent said last meeting, not this one we just did, the one before that, if you had to add up all the people that's ever come to the meetings, there has never been the show amount of people that showed up in December, I think it was, and then the amount that showed up last night. The amount of people that shows up here at the township. There's a movement happening here in township. And the element here is people are motivated by change, by the contributions of not only I or Jill or the people showing up that we're contributing to this movement. And I respect everyone that's here and everybody that's interested in the position, because it takes courage, time. But I believe the message of the township right now is change to keep the momentum. And both are equal standing here in our evaluation. So outside the interview, what do you believe in your mind that people would want to continue to influence them to stay engaged and involved in attending these meetings that are unprecedented, that's never happened before in Bridgeport? And I think a message of change is required here. Outside of the interview of the merits or the response, we agree these are the two, so what can tip the scale now? What other factor can we look at? And I think we should look at the factor of the people in Bridgeport that have given up their time to get involved due to the change of Nelson, Chad, Bruce. Now there's an open seat. They're looking for that momentum to continue. And their actions speak that they want that momentum because they're attending meetings. I'm not speaking of an illusion or fantasy. The truth is the evidence that presents itself. It's unheard of. I've never seen this. So I ask you to look at what the people want by the actions of what they have presented forward in attending the only two meetings there are in Bridgeport, the school and the township. Thank you.
Can I say something from back here? Normally I don't speak.
What?
Okay? Roger's wrong. I've been doing this for 10 years. I've seen the auditorium over at Atkins packed. Okay? I've seen the auditorium up at the high school packed. I've seen this building packed. It ebbs and flows, you know. They get packed when people get riled up and they want, you know, this and that. So I've seen more people than what I see here now. Okay? I've seen more action. So it's not like this is unprecedented. Never happened before. You got to vote out people and bring in change because that's what the people want. That's not. All right? So I can give you the videos of places that when they're packed, and I can give you the videos when there's nobody. It ebbs and flows over time. usually only draws people in when they're all pissed off and there's something going on. So it's not unprecedented. So that does not mean that you have to vote for change.
Point of order. My mic's not on again. Point of order. Any guidance from the county?
The county states that you just keep voting until you come to a decision, or we can keep going around and voting again.
Still my point of order. Flint has had 640 votes for their president and vice president, and they've been voted since October. And I don't plan to keep us here for 4 months, but I'm just saying, have some patience and do it right. We'll get it done tonight, I think. And so anyways.
So did you speak, are you still in your order? Did you spoke to the county?
I spoke with Kyle, the deputy clerk, Kyle Boston.
Does the county take any position of any candidate?
No.
We have another public.
Does any of our does any of our officers have any opinion one way or another? Is public comment?
You got public comment.
I'm sorry, Terry.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Terry Duffett. I live at 3275 Town Line. I've been coming to these meetings for over 20 years. You got two candidates that you've got to decide. And everybody knows that I'm a straight shooter. There's no political agenda or anything for myself. But of the two candidates, one has been working for the township very hard for a few years. The other one is what I call a pot stirrer. That person, when the board, a lot of you guys weren't on, when we were having trouble from the other end of the township, was stirring trouble and sending people down here on false information. Now that person, Kelvin, you know who I'm talking about, is now wants to be on the board. I know it caused problem out here before, so you guys are going to make up the decision. Do you want to have somebody sentenced where you got to continue, or you want somebody that wants to work with you to do things? It's up to you. It's your choice. You know, the rest of us can sit back and punch fingers and holler and scream and everything else. But I'm telling you what I've seen over the years. And just think about it. You know, it's, you know, I know what one has done, and I know what the other one has done. So, and I've had one of them accuse me at one time that I had a political agenda when my son was chief of police here, which I did not. I didn't run for any of these offices because my son was the chief of police in Bridgeport. But I was, because if it would have come to any time to vote for anything, I would have voted for the fire department, and I would have voted for the police department. I would have pushed them real hard. So that's not an open mind on anything. But I've got an open mind on this other. And like I said, I've seen what one done, and I've seen what the other one. So think about it very hard. You guys have got a tough decision, I understand that. But you gotta make it. Somebody's gotta make it, because we gotta move on. We can't keep sitting here every night with something else going. So please make your decision, and I'll live with it. I mean, I like it, but I'll live with it.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. My name is Joel Allen. I live at 6020 Rodale. I took careful notice on all of them also. And I have to agree with what Bruce said. I have nearly half a page of what Eddie told us. I'm sorry, Roberta, I only hit 2 lines of what you told us. And if all of you were behind the blind, and you didn't see them, and you knew nothing about them, I'm just saying, you knew nothing about them except what they said, I don't see how you can't vote for Eddie. And personally, I've known Eddie for, goodness, I've been a resident here for 42 years. I remember Eddie when he first came in, and I've always respected him. And I don't know what other people might have had their experience, but I found him to be very honest, open, kind, hardworking. I was talking to Eddie, and I said, you were a senior engineer. I said, you had a lot of people working under you. He said, yes, I did. We retired there 10 years ago. I've never known him to be on time. The other thing that I want to bring up is when you were initially voted, I was talking to Mark back here. He said, if we would have taken the vote just based on what you guys voted for on your initial vote, Eddie had 5, Roberta had 4, Jim had 4, Roger had 3, Melissa has 4. To me, that would have settled it right there. But because you dwindled it down, now we're in this. And I don't know what you're going to do, but I just take it back to look at your notes. I think they're both good candidates, but I would have to say Eddie's the one that you should choose for the clerk position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi.
No.
I just want to reiterate what I said in the beginning. Just please focus on who you feel is the most qualified and who do you think is going to do the best for Bridgeport. Who cares the most about Bridgeport, do you feel? I don't care if you know what they were before or what their qualifications that they presented today, the qualifications and the experience that they have. Excuse me. Just please vote for who you think will do the best for Bridgeport. That's what's important here. And I know that means somebody here has to change their vote, but just do what you think is best. Somebody has to change their vote one way or the other.
Any more? Anyone else like to say it?
Christina Gilbert. I live at 5510 Granby Road. I agree with Joel that the initial vote should be the one that we go with. If he had the most votes initially, then that should be the one that wins. That's fair. It seems fair. Before all the dwindling process and all of that, I feel like the person that had the most should get it. So that's my opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let Jill get a red.
I just want to say in regard to Mr. Duffett speaking, we have to caution ourselves about someone bringing the past forward and what their opinion is and what I just want to caution because we've attended meetings, we know people, we've been ourselves reactive, so I don't know how much that should play here without validating that. Thank you.
I know Roberta just from being on the board for so long. I know she's a hard worker. She's upfront, honest. She gets things done, very organized, and I think she worked well with what we have going on here. She's been on the board, everyone, we have Calvin who's been here a while, and Brandell, but we have new faces and we need some stability with who we have here now.
I'm Tom Welsh, the former deputy clerk, and I can only say what my experience is. I have worked with Roberta. She's been upfront, she's been honest, she's been very good about learning the process. I was debating whether to go into the office and bring out the books, but they would be about this high, about what the clerk has to go through and learn, and that's a extremely difficult process. I only know a small amount, which is primarily elections, but, and I can't speak about Eddie because I don't know him. I can only say that I have experience with Roberta and I know she would do a good job. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Any other public comments?
Motion to close public comment.
Motion?
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Opposed? Any other motions on the floor to?
Point of order. If I make a motion, I'm a motion that we vote the same way we just did, and if anyone on this board is opposed to that, I would encourage you to motion otherwise.
So do you have a motion on the floor?
Give you guys the opportunity.
So motion to vote.
No, I called a point of order to inform them that I was going to motion the same exact way. If they were opposed to that, then they need to make their own separate, distinct motion.
I'm hearing nothing.
Motion that we go around and give our top clerk choice.
Motion up for, motion been made and supported. All those in favor say, or any discussion? Excuse me.
Not that it would change our proceedings, and I'm not going to say who it is, but the county clerk does have a position.
Should we know that?
That sounds political, though. Yeah.
I'm at a loss in this motion. Is the motion?
It was made and supported. I said what I said during discussion. No, there's no other discussion. It needs to be called for.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
What are we voting on now?
Back, same thing we just voted.
Top candidate.
Top two candidates. Top candidate, excuse me, just the top candidate. Calvin.
Eddie Fox.
Bruce. Eddie. Roberta.
Laker.
Pat.
Eddie?
I'm still Plaker.
I'm still Plaker.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
can we go with the initial count? Who received the highest vote initially?
Are you making a motion?
I'd like to make a
We have to
motion.
close, we have to close this motion. So that's dead. So
So he can make a motion if he'd like.
if you would like to make a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we go with the initial candidate who had 5 votes.
Support.
Motion's been made and supported. Any discussion?
It's going to be a stalemate in a different form.
I guess I would caution because
It's changing your vote.
But that was for 3. It's when you all putting in 3 names before you start dwindling it down.
No, there was a top 2
No,
vote.
I think
There was
he,
a top 2. I guess my caution is, because I had asked, are you ranking it? And the answer that I recall, maybe wrong, was no, we just want the top 2. So if you're going by the name that you said first in your top 2, I think it was understood you're not ranking. So that might be a technicality.
Because there was more people in there.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think it changed the way
I understand the theory though. Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah.
It's changing your method of voting in the middle of the whole thing, because there was more, when you voted, for those first 5 people, there was more people to be considered. If there was only two, if there was, yeah, there was, yeah, spread out. If there was only 3 people in there, the votes would have changed.
Point of order, if 3 people vote yes on this active motion, by the way, if 3 people vote no, it's a stalemate of a different kind, it's a tautology. So I'm just putting that out there.
and there's a motion that's been made and supported, so we have to take a vote. Any more
So
discussion?
what is the motion? We're talking about Calvin's motion?
Yes,
Okay, so are we going to have discussion on that?
yes, and it's open.
So, to Jill's point, I think there was confusion on how we were to write down our candidates. I ranked mine, my top candidate, my second candidate, my third candidate, but not everybody was under that impression and did that. So those 5 votes may well have come from somebody that was looking at that and looking at Leslie for example, as a second or third choice. So I think we need to be careful about saying that was the top pick.
I do believe in Brent, the way Brenda said it, it's just going to become a stalemate on a different vote. We take a vote on this, it's going to be the same thing. So, the motion's been made and supported. Any other discussion on this? We'll do a roll call vote.
So this, the motion is to go with the initial count that we had the first time we voted.
So we had, I believe it was 5 for Eddie. So that's the motion on the floor. Bruce supported that motion.
Okay.
We have discussion, and now we'd like to roll call vote.
Williams?
No, we're taking a vote on your motion.
To go with the...
Yes.
Adams?
No.
Kuznicki?
Yes.
Evans?
No.
Quaker?
No.
Nelson?